Okay, sleuthers, because we haven't had enough of cases, we went ahead and today we are talking to Lillian Doucet-Roche. This podcast was created by fans for fans and is not affiliated with or sponsored by Hallmark or the Hallmark channel. How are you doing, Lillian?
I'm wonderful, Eric. Thank you for having me.
Okay, for anyone who maybe does not know, and I do not know how you could not know who Lillian is from watching cases, she starred as Katie, the true crime podcaster who did not get killed. So we are really excited to have you here today, Lillian. So are you ready to go? And like I said, we have really tough questions for you today. I'm
I'm
hoping
ready to rumble. I'm ready to rumble.
I'm
Thank you for
hoping you
having
survive it. So
me.
all right.
Okay.
So one of the things we have found is sometimes internet is not always right. And so if we ask a question that maybe is not right, go ahead and straighten us out. But according to your IMDb, it says you were born in London and then moved to Ottawa. Now, is that true?
Yes, I was born in Cambridge, England,
And
and
how early was that move?
I think it was young. Like I didn't come back with a cute accent or
I was
anything. I
about to
think
say,
I know, shoot. But I think we were so I have a twin sister and I have an older sister as well, but I think myself and my twin were two or three when we made the move to Ottawa.
wait, are you
No, wait,
identical?
we made a move to Halifax and then we were there for a couple years and then we did Ottawa.
No, are you identical?
We are fraternal.
Okay, that's a little bit. My wife is identical, and I was going to have to stop this podcast here because identical twins are just crazy between the two of them. Fraternal, I'll
Oh,
give you a little
we
bit of
could go
stuff.
off talking about twins. I mean, I know I'm fascinated by twins, obviously partially because I am one, but identical twins, that is another layer that is next level.
Okay, well, we're going off script already.
Yes,
So
yes,
now,
sorry.
how
Yes.
close? Now, wait, is this Hannah?
This is Hannah, yes. Nice to
Okay.
talk to you.
Now, how closely do you and Hannah, like if all of a sudden Hannah hopped on right now, would
Oh,
I be like, wait, who am I talking to? Are you guys close or not really, as far as
we
looks?
looked similar when we were younger, and now I think we look like sisters, maybe even cousins. But when I show people photos, they go, "Oh yeah, yeah, you look like twins." But I don't think, me personally, I don't think we have that much in common in terms of our looks.
Okay, because so
Yeah,
my wife, once again, being identical, and at this point, I think her and her sister, yes, they kind of like what you said, look like sisters, but I
yeah,
think whatever. But everybody who sees them says, "Oh, how do you tell them apart?" And never really an issue, except for I sadly discovered a very big lesson to everybody out there. If you are married to a twin, never come up and get affectionate from behind if you are not 100% certain.
you had one of
So,
those classic moments. That's like the
oh
classic
yes,
movie moment.
once I learned my lesson, and so I never approach from behind. But
Some things we need to learn the hard way, and I think that this
yeah,
might be one of them.
oh yes, it was a traumatic story for both of
Oh
us.
dear,
All
for
right.
both of us, for all
So,
parties involved.
yes. So one of the things that, once again, on the internet, but you confirmed it before we started recording, is you were an au pair. You went back after high school, you went back to England, and you were an au pair for a year while you were doing some studying of to further your trade as an actor. So
Yes. So,
now you've got to have a funny story from being an au pair, right?
oh man, oh man, oh
Like,
no.
how
I
little
mean,
were the kids?
little. So they were 7 and 9, and then they had a dog, Tally. They might still have the dog. I'm trying to think age-wise. Um, it was a wonderful experience. I had a great host family. It was my first experience. I've worked a lot with kids, but it was my first kind of full-on, full-on experience, like taking them to school, picking them up, putting them to bed, like, full-on experience. And the parents were great. They tried to be as involved as they could, but they were a banker and a doctor, so they had pretty full schedules. But I definitely learned a lot about kids. I learned you can't negotiate with kids. I would play with the little like Nerf guns with them, and I would say, okay, we're gonna do 20 minutes, and then we're gonna go past your bed. This is, 20 minutes past your bedtime, and then you have to promise you're gonna go to bed. Anyway, I learned many a time that when the timer goes off, they're not hopping into bed. They are like riled up and running outside and oh goodness. So I've had many an experience, just learning. Once the kids get riled up, it's hard to bring it back down.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm not sure Nerf gun wars are the way to like wind them down for bed, but
I know, but they were so, with their cute little accents, they're just so convincing. They would negotiate and they'd say, okay, I'm not going to try to do the accent because I won't do it justice, but they'd say, okay, we'll do, we just have a lot of energy. Let's do for 15 minutes. And then they go, okay, 20 minutes. And then it's like 2 hours later and they're still not in bed. And I'm going, I'm the worst au pair. But it was fun, it's fun to partake in those games.
now
You
was
don't get
this
to spend a lot
right
of time at all.
after like high school, so you're 18-ish?
18, 19, yeah, something like
Oh
that.
my, and you've got already, okay, yeah, yeah, that's young. Um, so but there's like the famous nannies there. You've got the Sound of Music, you've got Mary Poppins, and now you have Lillian.
Oh yeah.
So
Thank
you're
you
like
for
you're
that.
right on
Thank
par with
you.
them, right?
Thank you. That's giving me way too much credit, but I'll take it. I think they were a lot more, I'm way more quirky than they were. I think they had a handle on things way more than I did, but I mean, that year was incredible. I would definitely recommend taking a gap year, for anyone thinking about it. I grew up a lot. It was also my first time, my twin and I were and are quite close. It was my first time being away from, I was like an individual for the first time, and it was, challenging, but I think it was so helpful. It was yeah, a really impactful year. I definitely recommend it to anyone debating what to do after high school.
The big question is, can you sing?
Yes, okay. So
Like
the case, think about like
if you're a nanny in
the
England, it seems like you have to, or Europe, I guess, because Sound of Music, but
top
it
of the
seems like you'd
resume.
have to be like singing, like in your Nerf guns, you'd have to be
Yeah,
singing some songs as
hitting
you
the high
are
notes.
doing it.
Yeah, in between shots, hitting those high notes. I describe myself as an actor who sings. I did study in musical theater. And I come from a musical family. Like my dad's a great singer. My mom, while she's too humble to admit it, she's also a great singer. Sisters are great singers. So I do sing, but I sort of consider myself an actor who sings in the sense that if I didn't know how to act, I don't think anyone would want to, like, I don't think I would pursue singing versus I know there are some actors out there who are incredible singers. And if they didn't have the acting talent, they could still go on and pursue singing. So I sort of look at it as a bonus, but not really a standalone talent, if you will.
Okay, so what would be if you're out just like cleaning the house, what are you singing? What kind of music?
I I see, yes. So I do sing in those cases. I mean, it really depends on the mood. I do sing a lot of musicals. I'm a big musical theater fan. Um, I just find, I mean, it's also like musicals are also what I listen to on my drive to set if I'm alone, obviously. If I have someone with me, I wouldn't subject them to that. But I just love musicals. I just find like the people who work on them, the writing and the creation process, they just so passionate and so much heart goes into them. So it comes through in the soundtrack. So they pump me up and they make me feel alive. So I'm
All right.
singing musicals pretty consistently.
Okay, so once again, could be wrong, but according to your IMDb profile, Miracle Season was your
Oh.
first acting gig. Is that correct?
Okay, wait. Technically it was my second because I think I did the Flash sort of
Well,
like right before, like 2 weeks before.
see, that shows up earlier in the timeline. I didn't know if maybe Miracle Season was filmed earlier. Okay, let's go to The Flash then.
Yeah.
So when you had your first like professional acting gig, right? You're like, hey, this is my career. I'm not in my high school, Oklahoma here. What was it like walking on stage, being like, you know, wow? Like, were you completely just overwhelmed? Was it just pure excitement? Was it just scary as can be?
I
Take us
mean,
through that.
I grew up doing theater. So I was kind of used to the overwhelming, walking on stage, having the lights, huge audiences, you got to be locked in and ready to go and hit your mark and do your thing. So that was less intimidating. So what was intimidating was the kind of structure of film is a lot more um like I was learning so much on the job about how broken down it was and how we rehearse and then we shoot and then we do the same thing over and over again and because we have to get the different shots and the different angles. So that was, but I don't think it was intimidating as much as it was just like thrilling to be a part of something like so big. I could just tell I was just such a small part of something so incredible. And I also remember I had to do a kiss scene
Ooh,
And
first one with a kiss.
I know, and I just remember the gentleman was so lovely about it. But when the cameras aren't on you, obviously you're not going to be, making out. So he was kind about it, but it was a very funny scenario where he would let me know when we would kiss and when we wouldn't kiss. And so we'd be getting ready to film and he'd go, no kiss. And it was very humbling to have a man look at me very sternly and say, no kiss. And then he'd like, kiss, and just letting me know when to pucker up. So that was a little intimidating because I thought, I don't know how, some things you just
Okay.
don't think about how you do them until you have a camera on you and you're like, gosh, I hope this looks normal. Like, I just don't know. I don't know how to kiss. Like, I know how to kiss, you just
Right,
kind of
right. No,
question.
that's actually what I was
Kidding.
about to say. So what is a movie kiss like?
I mean, you're asking the wrong girl. Every time I've had to do it, I've kind of just done it the way I would in real life. I do think
Okay.
there are probably techniques and skills and things that people know how to make it look like movie magic. I haven't learned them yet, so TBD. But I don't think every time I've seen myself kiss on screen, I don't think it's been anything traumatic. So we're okay.
Okay, so that once again being your first gig, that professional one, were you just like popping the Altoids and chewing gum and doing everything being like, oh man, I don't want to ruin it right here with Mr. Handsome.
That would have been actually, I don't think I was, but now that I think about it, I wish I had.
So
You know,
instead you're like eating chili dogs with onions on it and
yes, because
garlic
that's my
or
first
something.
experience with Crafty, where it's just like they have amazing food. And I was a theater student, I'm just out of theater school, so I was like, oh, free food, amazing. And I was just like, yeah, stuff in my face. I definitely was not. Now that we're
Uh,
really talking about it, I wish I had thought that way. Now I think that way, but I wasn't thinking that way then. I was just too excited by the peanut M&Ms and things like that.
that's awesome. So now you've been in several Hallmark movies now. You were Chloe in The Professional Bridesmaid. You're
Mm.
Mia in Paging Mr. Darcy. Zoe in hashtag Xmas, Heather
Mm.
in 27-hour day, work day or whatever it is. And then,
Yeah.
of course, Katie in the most recent Cases of Mystery Lane. Which one of those would you say is most like you as a person from all those characters?
Oh, interesting. Let me think about this. Katie, yeah. Maybe
Zoe was
Heather.
kind of evilish, right?
Yeah, Zoe had a little spice to her.
Yeah.
She had a little spice and a little sass. I remember the costumes were amazing for that film, and I really wanted to, ask if I could have some of them, like take them home. But then I remember thinking, I don't think my personality can pull off these boots. Like they were really, had a little zest. So, but I think maybe Heather from 27 Hour Days.
The
I
one
remember
I
the
don't remember. Geez, thanks.
I know, so but that was my first ever Hallmark. That was like years ago. I think I was brunette at that point too. Was that? Yes, I was. She was just like lovely. She liked to knit. I like to do Sudokus. She got excited by the little things, which I totally think I do. She was the most kind of normal, I think, of all the characters I played to date.
I
True.
love I love Mia. Well, Katie, of course, because we're
Oh,
mystery folks.
Mia was
But Mia,
amazing. I loved
she was
playing Mia.
pretty fun. I liked her.
She was, I think, probably the most fun to play, but I'm definitely a different cut from a different cloth. Like when I'm more like Mallory who played my older sister. I'm more that route in terms of
Okay.
breakups and practicality and let's be a little more sensible about these things. Mia, it's like hard on her sleeve and she is just thriving. But it was a lot of fun to play. So yeah, that was a really enjoyable one. But I hope I'm not like that because I think that would be very high
All right.
maintenance for my forces.
So you once again you pay Katie a podcaster. Do
Mhm.
you like to listen to podcasts yourself?
I love listening to podcasts. I listen to podcasts on the daily.
So
Um,
what are the ones you listen to?
I listen to a lot of educational podcasts. So I don't listen, like I was thinking about that. I was listening to a podcast. I was walking along the seawall listening to a podcast. And I was thinking about the podcasts that I listen to, and they're not like I don't listen to a lot of fun ones. They're always educational or like it's all about how the brain works or how we can maximize our fitness or how we can maximize like I like to use my podcasts for learning, same with audiobooks. So I'm not much of a for fun podcast gal, but You know, I
Okay, so
mean,
you're saying you're not listening to our podcast. I got it. Okay, great.
but I actually listened to your podcast. I did. Of course, I listened to the writers. Joel and Margot, they were so sweet. And then obviously Paul and Amy, and then Paul. I didn't know he was really into woodworking. That was a nice little. And then I listened to Ali Scobie. I love Ali. And someone, oh no, you have a great podcast. I did. Yes, sorry. I do listen
It's okay. I'm
to some
teasing you.
podcasts, but mainly educational purposes is my
So,
podcast.
so
I
you're
go
not
back to.
doing the true crime ones though, huh?
No, they stress me out a little bit too
I'm
much.
100% with you.
And
100%
the
with you.
visuals sometimes, like my brain is picturing what they're talking about, and it's like that's in there. That is in my memory, and I can do without it.
So once again, getting back to your IMDb, and we talked about a little bit before you went over to do your little Mary Poppins, you were at Canterbury High School, which according to your IMDb is a very fancy like art school. So were you essentially in every single play as the lead, or was it just because it was so intense with everyone basically being great actors that you were tree number seven in whatever type play? What was it like being in high school at this art school?
That is an amazing question. I will say I've actually been both. I've been a tree in a play, and I'm pretty sure it was at Canterbury, and then I was also the leads or a lead in various things. But it was a great high school experience because I got to do theater every day, and I think like the teachers there were like Jeff Lawson and Paul Griffith. There were so many teachers who really, I think if they had been like that age, it can make or break you. Like I think if they had been a little less encouraging or a little more, I don't think you should do this, then like I don't know if I'd be an actor. Like they really shaped me, and I'm so grateful for those early educational experiences. But I don't know if it was. I mean, gosh, you make it sound like it's like this really cool,
No, that's what your
cool.
IMDb says. It
Way
says
to go,
like
I'm
the
me. Yes.
country's leading art school or something like that.
Yes. Okay. Yes. I mean, it is. No. Oh, wait. That's Studio 58. That's the theater school. That's a top conservatory in Canada. That's
Uh,
where I went to get my bachelor's degree.
oh, so all right, so just dropping. I see what you're doing. Okay, yeah. No,
No, but
Canterbury was good,
Canada,
but then I went even better. Okay,
no, no,
I
no,
got
no,
you,
no,
Lillian. I see how it is.
no. But Canterbury was amazing, and anyone who's in Ottawa who wants to be in the arts, I definitely recommend it. They have great teachers, great programs. It was a big part of, I think, why I learned to love acting. So
Wait, wait, so
incredible.
take us about this other fancier one that you're talking about. What was that
Okay, well
one?
that's Studio 58. That's a theater conservatory. That is one of the top conservatories in Canada. And uh I mean that was an incredible experience for a whole slew of other reasons. It was 3 years, so it was 2013 to 2016. One thing I love about the studio program is that the first year and a half, you are working behind the scenes. So we had to do like set crew, lighting crew, costume crew, props crew. We had to learn all the behind the scenes of how everything worked before we were even allowed to step foot on stage. And at the time, I remember thinking, this is so silly. I want to be an actor. But as you're kind of going through the program, you just realize like this is a huge production going on. This is a team sport. All these rules matter, and it's so helpful to know um, how they work and what they need from the actors and how we can best like support one another. So that was so educational. I was so grateful that they allowed us to do that. And I wish I had that in film. I learn on set as I'm going, how props and things work, but film is like theater but times 10, right? Like it is just a humongous team sport that me as an actor, I'm just like a tiny part of. And um yeah, so that was one thing that theater school did really well, and as amongst many other wonderful teachers, wonderful classmates.
Now was the evil twin with you at in these?
Hamilton. She wasn't. So she was in. She went to Toronto. She was in Toronto. She was at Ryerson, and she
Okay,
actually was studying. She's actually a film editor, which is
right.
so
That's
interesting.
I saw
A
that
couple.
on IMDb. So
Is her really on IMDb? Way to go, IMDb. But I will say, really fun. We don't come from a family of film people. Like my mom is a professor of sociology and a Canadian research chair. And my dad is an acupuncturist and owned a health clinic for many years. We don't come from a film background. So the fact that we both ended up in film, a couple years ago, we just kind of looked at each other and went, oh, we're both in film. Like it just sort of happened. So anyway, she was in Toronto, studying at Ryerson to do film editing, and I did get into the theater program at Ryerson. But after being away in England, I mean, I'm such a homebody and I just I can, I love my family and I can be I can get very comfortable. And I think in order to thrive in this career, I had to I don't want to say uncomfortable, but not in my safe, in a, like a safe, too safe. So anyway, I chose to come to Vancouver because I found being on my own was sort of crucial to me thriving as an individual.
Now, where's Hannah at these days?
She's in Toronto still.
Okay.
I
So you
say
guys
that
are in
nicely
opposite,
because,
well,
yeah, one
kind of
day,
opposite sides.
yeah. So one day, it's the dream to kind of live in the same place. We kind of go back and forth as to where that will be, but TBD, TBD. Our longing love affair to be back in the same city.
Now, I'm guessing you probably don't do, or maybe do you still stay any stage work?
I haven't since I graduated theater school. I graduated and then
Just
like a
hit the
week
big time.
later. Yeah, like no, no, no. But like, oh, a week later I kind of got into film and then I've just been like film is it's similar to theater, but it's a different sport. So I've been learning. And it's like, if you're an athlete, it's like tennis versus ping pong. Like they're both kind of in the but very different rules, very different court, very different things to learn. So ever since I got into film, I kind of got I don't want to say obsessed, but really, intrigued with how film works. And I haven't gone back to theater, but theater was my first love. So I do think I would love to go back eventually. I just don't
Now,
know. That would mean taking time away from film, I think. And I just love film so much right now. So I haven't been
so
back.
do you, it sounds like like you're saying you love all the aspects of it and you've mentioned it a few times. Do you think like at some point down the road, maybe like directing would be something that would appeal to you?
I would humbly love to get into directing. I think I don't want to be one of those naive people who, I only have seen slices of what it takes to be a director. And I think the mindset, the skills, so many skills that I am still kind of learning. It's a very intricate, very demanding job. So I would love to get into directing if like I like to think I would be good at it, but that's me saying that very ambitiously and humbly because I just think it's oh goodness gracious, there it takes so much. So yes is the answer if I'm lucky enough is the kind of long answer of but I'd love to kind of shadow people. Every time I'm on set, I'm trying to get little pieces of information.
Well, you do work now at the right network for it. Hallmark has their big initiative with the Making Her Mark.
I
So
know,
you
amazing. I
never
know. That's
know.
my plan. That's my
You never
plan.
know,
I met on Cases actually. There was Kay was she was in that program. Make Her
right?
Mark. She was yes, and she was shadowing Mike. That was how I first
Wait, are you like
met.
best buddies with her or something?
No, but I followed her on Instagram just because I think she's so amazing. And
Okay.
she's pregnant now. Congratulations, Kay. Kay and Harvey. But no, so I'm not best friends with her, but I'm just, a fan. I just think she's so wonderful. And I'm grateful that she I was asking her about the program and she kind of took the time to give me some insight. So I was just grateful for that.
Okay. Well, since
For
we
that.
have so much pull over there, we'll put the word out there and we'll make sure
Thanks, you guys.
Hallmark that, gives
Thank
you
you.
that call.
You'll get your cut.
Yep. So, oh, no, my cut is, which I've been pushing for, I want to be an extra.
You want to be, yeah,
I
been
want
an
to be
extra
the
yet.
barista. I can't, we told the story many times. I can't do the dead guy because I always practice and my wife says I look too goofy because I can't help but smile. So
That's
I'd be a
fair.
happy dead person. So it doesn't work. But I was thinking barista may be my niche. So when you become a director, I'm going to
Okay.
hold it to you because,
Please
like I
do.
say, it's going to be
Please
my
do.
juice that makes this happen.
Okay, amazing. Also, you saying I always practice, just the idea of you and your wife, you playing dead on a Saturday night and your wife being like, stop smiling.
Trust me, I
That's amazing.
sadly do it way too often. So, what is like a secret talent or skill or weird physical quirk that you have that people just don't know about?
Skill, talent, or weird physical quirk?
Well, like I
Like,
can't touch my pinky and my thumb. That's a weird physical quirk thing,
what?
right? Here, I'll do it
Wait,
on,
show me.
you're on camera so you can see it. See,
Whoa, wild!
they don't quite get there.
I didn't mean to rub that in your face. That was so
No, it's
rude.
okay. I've had many years of people rubbing it in my face. So it doesn't have to be like, oh, hey, you have like these like, I don't know, unposable thumbs. So whatever, yeah, you get made fun of. Like it could be like, oh, I can juggle 14 balls. It could be like an amazing skill. I don't
Oh
know.
gosh.
You got something out there. Come on, what is it? And don't be
Okay,
humble.
top of my, oh gosh, I mean, top of my head, I would say, goodness, this is a great question. I mean, I'm a great runner. I don't know if people would know that about me. I'm like a naturally, like, I'm made to run. Like, I have very long legs. I'm very proportionate ever since I'm not doing it justice with the movements I'm doing right now, but I'm a great runner. Um, Meditation, like I can sit in silence and like be on my, like I didn't think that was a skill until recently. I went away to a silent meditation retreat and then I was telling people about it and they were kind of going, oh my goodness, how do you sit inside? Like, they really made it seem like it was a hard thing to do. So, maybe not a fan skill, but
Oh no, that's huge. That's huge.
okay, sure. We'll take those two then. We'll take those two.
Okay, so while we could have talked about twins for like the whole episode, running, now you're into my jam. So do you do like races or you just like run on the treadmill kind of thing? What are we doing here? What's your running?
So, okay, so growing up, I did track and field.
Good for you.
That's kind of my intro and cross country. I was really good at the long distance. I'm just gonna like humbly brag for the next 3 minutes.
No, don't
I
go for it.
I would do like the long distance, 800 meters, 1500 meters, and then obviously cross country. And the thing that I was good at was the kick, like the last 200 meters. It didn't matter.
Nice. So you're badass. Nice.
I could do the thing. That said, my twin, so I had a great finish, and Hannah she had a great kick, like a great start. So she would be doing the 100, and I was thriving at the 200 because my kick, it was like I was always behind, and then I'd always finish with no problem. Uh, Again, she says very humbly, Lillian. But now as an adult, I find running so therapeutic. So I don't, so I will run on the treadmill, but I like to run outside if I can along the seawall or like along a track by a park by my house. And I like to run alone because it's like it just feels so, it's like a great time for me to think things through. Versus if I run with someone, again, not like I don't want to say competitive, but I am aware of
That's
keeping
good.
pace
Competitive's good.
and winning. So now I use it more as a form of therapy. But growing up, it was a lot of track and fields and a lot of cross country and
Now, do you do races or anything like that now?
I see. I don't. I've never done. I've thought a lot about doing marathons and things like that.
Okay.
But again, like I think if I were to start training, it would take what I get from it, right? Like what I'm looking for right now from running is very specific. So I think if that changes, if I'm looking for a little more competition with myself or I want to beat a time or something like that, then I might get into marathons or races. But at the moment, it's not, why I run.
Okay. Well, I'll
Are you
say
a runner?
yeah, and I've done my license plate's 26.2. Um, I will say the marathon is when you get into those training and you're doing like a 20-mile run, you want to get into that like little head zone. See, what people don't understand about long distance running, they're always like, oh, it's physical. How do you do it? It's really not the physical thing because most people can just train and do that. It's surprisingly how you can do it. But getting into a thing where you mentally can just run for several hours, and it's kind of cool. Like here in Arizona, there's one run I would do where I'd run all the way down this road in the middle, or not the middle, the very early morning on a Sunday morning, nobody around. I'd run to a mountain and then run back, and it's just like, yeah, amazing
Unreal.
mentally and stuff.
I
So,
have heard the mental component is a huge portion of it. So
yeah.
do you train for marathons?
Well, yeah, I don't just like go out there and run 26 miles. So, but
Okay.
I don't actually, I will be honest, I don't run anymore because had nothing to do with running. But my one knee just got wrecked by an infection. And so it just
Oh, I'm so
never, it doesn't
sorry.
work anymore. So, but other than that, yes, I still do. So I do some like occasional 5Ks still, but
Casual.
I do, I
Just
do,
casual
I do
5K.
miss, I do miss the running for that exact reason that you're talking about. And it took a while to
Yeah.
get there, I'll be honest, because it used to be like, oh, running, sort of, because you're just there in your own head, right? But
Yes.
then you get to a point where all of a sudden you appreciate being in that space and stuff. And so I totally get it with you. Like I wouldn't run, like when I do those real long runs, I wouldn't listen to music either because
Yeah.
I just wanted to just be in that moment. And it's
Yeah.
weird, but it's a cool spot. So,
That's actually really interesting. I never thought about when I go for runs, I kind of let like my thoughts do the thought thing and I
right.
think things through. I never really thought about combining meditation and running. And Like I'd never thought of that before. That's really interesting.
So
I'm gonna try
it's
that.
good.
I never thought of that before.
All right. So when you are, the only problem of it is it does take up a lot of your time. But so when you're
Yeah,
directing and you're needing your like decompression, you'll be out running, training for your marathon. So now I am responsible for two of your
so
life goals. So
thank you.
I'm
I
little
feel like
did
we're
you
good
know you're
friends.
coming into your life coach, right? That's what this was all about.
Yes, I did. I had a
Okay.
feeling the moment we got on this call, I thought this is gonna change my life.
We talked about a couple of the previous movies you were in, but other people that you have starred with were Taylor Cole. She was in 27-Hour Day, but she was also Ruby Herring Mysteries. Mallory Jansen, she was Francesca Quinn PI. Hunter King was Nikki in Nikki and Nora.
Yeah,
So I will say, I see no path for you. I am your life coach, by the way. I see no path for you other than you will have to be a sleuth, like a main sleuth in a movie coming up because you just have too much of this surrounding you that I can see no other path
I would
for
love
you.
that. And if we could get all those gals together and make it, and you know what? Rhiannon Fish, who was in 27-Hour Day, wasn't she
Oh
in
yes, you're right. She's
yes. So
Nora in
yes,
Nikki and Nora.
if I
Right.
could be part of the group of iconic women that they are, that would be
Yeah.
sign me up for that for sure. Ooh, that'd be
Yeah, I
exciting.
haven't seen like 27 Hour, I'll be honest, it's not my favorite movie, but
Yeah, I never even remember what it was about.
I
Oh, it
do
was
I do like the people in it I love, so that's very good.
amazing people, amazing play, like and amazing direction. David Winning.
But
I mean,
I
he's
totally
great.
forgot that she was because she was like at that point hadn't gotten to the leads of the Hallmark movies yet.
Yes,
So that's
she
right.
was the receptionist. Yes, at the retreats desk that Autumn checks into.
So okay.
She's
All right. So we are a little all over the place. So and now I'm going to ask you, what are your three favorite movies of all time?
that I've been
Like,
in or
do you even like movies or like
oh,
your
I
show?
mean,
You're like
yeah,
talking about
I
your
love a good
show,
movie.
whatever
Um,
stuff. But all right, what are your three
okay,
favorite movies then of all time?
okay. Recent, I'll just go with recent ones. Uh, I do have to say I never read the books, but I loved the Dune movies, and I would love to be a part. I'm putting this out in the universe right now. I'd love to be a part of something like Dune. The mass, just the scale of which that production. Anyway, I could go on for days, and just the talent behind the scenes and in front of the camera. So Dune, huge appreciation for that movie. Um,
So do you think the
oh,
scale of the production of Dune was greater than Cases of Mystery Lane?
just just a
Smidge?
smidge,
Okay.
like a minuscule amount in
I would
terms
I
of.
would I assume fairly equal budgets though, but
Equal budget probably. I just think there was more desert in that one. I think that was the
right.
only difference really
Okay.
between the two.
All right. So you got
Um,
Dune.
so we got Dune. Past Lives. Have you seen that one?
No.
Oh my goodness, that one took my breath away. That is a love story. It's about okay, well, I'm not gonna, but you should watch it.
I-
That one was incredibly raw and real and beautiful.
Is it streaming somewhere?
Probably. I think I saw it. I think I was with my parents like for some holiday or something, and we rented it on Apple
Okay.
TV for like 4.99. It's probably, but it must be. It's been out for a while, so it must be out.
Past
Um,
Lives.
Past Lives,
Okay.
a beautiful film,
I'll put it on the list.
beautiful film. And then I mean, there are so many, but I will say one film, but this is kind of cheating because it was so Cineplex puts on. I don't know if you've heard of National Theatre Live. Cineplex puts on it's normally like it'll be like Broadway or theaters in London, England. They'll like huge productions that we don't have access to, obviously, because we're here in Canada or wherever you are. If you're not in England or New York, Cineplex films these live productions and then broadcasts them on a movie theater screen. And I've
Okay.
seen some incredible productions through that. And one of my favorite, like film, even though it was technically theater, but it was filmed. But this is, I think, what my favorite sort of film and theater thing, just across the board. It's called Present Laughter with Andrew Scott, and it was unreal. I think it was just 3 hours of magic. I left that theater thinking if I could do anything close to that in my abilities as an actor, I would just be thriving. It was incredible. It was
All
incredible.
right.
So that's a bit of a cheat because I don't know where you can watch that. That was
No,
mean of me to say
you
that
get to
because now I
answer
know.
however you want. You're the
Okay, yeah,
guest.
but Present Laughter, amazing. If they ever do re-debut it in Cineplex, I'll let you know, and you can, because I definitely recommend it. It was amazing.
Now, if you could get recast in a remake of any movie, what would you want to be? Like, what role would you want in what movie?
I mean, gosh, that assumes I could do it better than the people who are doing it, and I think probably
No, it's just
they're best.
a new take.
Oh gosh, let's think about this. Okay, Deadpool, the most recent Deadpool Wolverine one. Blake Lively makes an appearance as the female Deadpool, and very small appearance, but I would be recasting that because I would love to play Wanda Wilson, who's the female Deadpool. So I would love to. I mean, this is kind of, again, I'm cheating with this answer because I don't think I'm taking anything away from Blake Lively, but if I could just get my name in the ring at that early stage, and then maybe I get to play Wanda Wilson in the actual Deadpool
All right.
female one, then I would do that. So that would be my answer for that.
I thought you were going to say Wolverine, so
Can you
all right.
imagine me as Wolverine? I
I
think we can all see it. I
I
think we
think
can.
you look good
Thank
with
you.
the
Thank
pork
you.
chop sideburns.
Yes, the hair, the claws. Yeah.
All
Okay.
right.
Now that we're really talking this through. Yeah. And maybe
Once
like,
again, a little different adaptation of Wolverine. All good.
yeah, or what's that one, where Leo cuts open a bear and like hides it. I feel like I could be
Oh,
the bear.
not rendition. It's
Um,
something like that.
yeah,
Okay.
something like that.
So you're
Okay.
gonna wrestle the bear. Okay.
Yeah, I feel like no, I think I could be the bear.
Oh, the bear.
I
All right.
think
At
I
least
could
he,
be
at least he
how
didn't say
they talk.
cocaine bear. So that's okay then. All right.
Right. Very good.
With you, one of the things that comes with your job is the audition. Tell
Mm.
us what is it like being an actor doing auditions?
I mean, I will say auditions are a very separate skill from the actual job. Like when you're on set, it's very different than when you audition. Like I kind of thought they were one and the same, but they're very separate skills. I mean, every audition we have is an opportunity to practice what we love to do. So in a weird way, it's, obviously sometimes if you have 10 auditions in a week and you don't hear back from any of them, it can kind of wear you down that following weekend. But I mean,
Wait,
every
you have
audition,
like 10 a week?
well, I mean, not every week, but some weeks are busier than others. And, you don't always hear back. And it can feel like you're just, especially with self tapes now, right? Like it can kind of feel like you're sending it into the ether. And it's like,
Right.
will they watch it? Won't they watch it? Um, but I'm always like, again, like with podcasts, like I listen to a lot of like just like how to be a better actor. I'm always learning. And so anytime, obviously there are some auditions time to time where I just think, oh my gosh, I want this so badly. I would just do, and then you don't get it and it's heartbreaking. But every audition we do, like I do watch them back and I learn how to work with people that you've never met or someone that you know really well and are comfortable with, and maybe that's good and maybe that's not good. Like there's always things to be learned from the audition process. But it is like a sport. Like you just have to. But what's that saying where it's like winners lose the most, and it's because they're practicing the most? Like I just think if we want to be out here doing the thing we want to be doing, it's like the more practice, the better. So that's kind of how I see auditions.
Uh, so you dropped this a few times, like these sports analogy thing for all this. On a
Mm.
scale 1 to 10, where would we put your competitive streak?
Okay. Growing up, I did kind of get a competitive streak there just because, we were athletes, like we were doing the thing. We were playing competitive basketball, competitive soccer. We were on all the sports teams and doing the thing. But now as an adult, I am less competitive. Like I can go play volleyball, beach volleyball, and just, like I like to win, but it's mostly to have fun. But I will say my family and cards,
Okay.
it does get real. Like we all become just like, except for my older sister. My older sister Vanessa is just a saint. She's just wonderful in every scenario. But the rest of us maniacs, we kind of become a different version of ourselves. And when it reminds me of like when I was a kid, I don't know if you ever did this, where you'd be in like the toy store trying to convince your mom to buy you like the new gadget or the new toy, and you'd be like, if you get me this, you don't have to get me anything else
Oh
for
yeah,
the
of
rest
course.
of my life. That type of thing. Every single card game, I'm sitting there going, if I win this, this is all I need. This is everything. And then I don't have to have anything for the rest of my life. Like it's like the stakes, but it's not just me. So, my parents, my Nana, like we all very lovingly, but we all we definitely lock in and get into our zones. And it gets spicy, but in a good way. It's always lots of laughter throughout. So, but yeah, competitive with cards for sure.
Well, I applaud you that you've been able to rein it in because it is not a skill I have adopted. In fact, when my kids were little, my kids are adults now, but when they were little, I'd get in trouble because like when we play games with them and their friends, I'd still have to crush them at the
Oh,
sports. And like the other
amazing.
parent, my wife's like, oh, now all the other parents are gonna get mad because little Johnny went home upset that you destroyed him in
You were that bad.
candy. Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. It's
Okay,
like
yeah.
when
Then
my son
you're
was little playing basketball, I'd be swatting the ball away, not letting him score. And it wasn't until he got to be a certain height when he was then able to beat me that, and now he definitely reveled in it. But oh
Yeah,
yeah, I
see,
would
there you go. Okay, so then when your kids are playing sports, would you go watch them and get really into it and be like, "What are you talking about, ref?" And be one of those like
no,
silent.
but I will say I ended up having to coach all their sports because the first year, my daughter, I was like watching, going, "Oh my God, coach should be doing this. Coach should be doing that." Now, I wasn't the dad who was like yelling at the coach to do this. I was just mentally going home and like writing out my notes on like, "Oh, this is what it should be," whatever, obsessing over it. So I decided the only way to healthily do it was to actually become the coach, so I could do it and not yell at
Obviously,
anyone. And then you find out like coaching is so much harder, kind of like you're talking about with the thing, because then you have to
yeah.
control everything. And when you're actually the athlete, you only control yourself. And so I found out it's way harder to do than you think
And you
it
would
is.
think. And are your kids as competitive? Like, did they get that gene?
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah, there you go.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of fun. It's kind of it's
And
thrilling to be competitive.
and my wife won't play games with me because yeah, I can't just do fun.
Yes, they see, yeah, my mom and my dad, like, they're 11 out of 10 all the time, and then we get them at a card table, and it's like, oh my gosh. I mean,
Yeah.
just oh my gosh, we get funny when we play cards. Let's just say
Well,
that.
well, the funny thing is I'm like totally chill on everything else unless it's
Yeah,
a win. So
yeah. It's
Well,
so
this is how bad it is. So my wife and I just went and got our teeth whitened, and I actually was like competitive. They're like, "Oh," to my wife, "You came in as a 12." I'm like, "I got to be better. I got to be better." So
that is a very
when the
specific.
guy's
That is
holding up the
competitive.
thing, and I was like a 10, I'm like, "Yes." So yes,
See, if
I
this is
do
a
have an issue.
competition,
I do have an
if
issue.
if this was a competition of who's more competitive, you win this one
So
for
yeah,
sure. That is next level. That is, I
yeah.
can appreciate that.
So now have you, when you going back to where we're supposed to be, you're auditioning. So have you like when you audition, do they still do it in person ever, or is it pretty much this you send in your tape kind of thing?
It's mainly tapes, but for callbacks and things like that, they will do in person. So you audition one time, they see it, they go, "Oh yeah, we think you might be right for this," and then they'll bring you in person, and you kind of get a feel for.
And so at this point, I'm assuming you've got like your actor friends and stuff. Is it like you see in a movie where you guys are sitting in there and you know each other and you get it and they don't, and so it's like a little bit of silent animosity or vice versa and everything? Or do you have any
I
like
mean, yes,
crazy stories about auditioning?
I mean, so yes, in the sense we do know each other, like in the waiting room, you often see, it's like the same age group, kind of your look, but just slightly different. So I do recognize a lot of people. I think maybe when I first started, I might have gotten like sad that, oh, I wish I got that role. And it's that fine line where it's not that I don't want them to have it, but you just want a piece of it,
Right.
But now I truly believe that like what I would do, like I think like I do my job really well, and I just trust that they're doing their job really well. If they don't cast me, it's because I'm not right for the role. And so the casting directors here at Vancouver are incredible. So yeah, so I don't really have it. No, I've never. It's been years since I've had a bitter taste in my mouth about someone getting something that I haven't gotten. If anything, it'll be like, oh, I wish I was right, but it has nothing to do with
N-
them. Um,
Do you have anyone that went like horribly wrong when you got in there for like the callback or whatever?
okay, so I will say, I'm gonna give away as less little detail as possible, but so when you get an audition, I think this is a new thing, but I get auditions on different platforms. You can either get it through Actors Access, Casting Workbook, or through your email. Like they come through in different portals. And I think sometimes the information gets, I don't think, sometimes the information gets lost. And I did go in for an audition And the wonderful casting director at the time was like, okay, she was kind of talking through the role with me before I even got started. And she was like, as you know, she's a princess. In my head, I was like, she did not know she was a princess. I missed that mark completely. And then she continues and says, and as you know, she's British. And I went, yes, 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 I do know all of this, which of course I didn't. And so anyway, so the scene that we were doing, again, without giving away too much, I had to be going to get something, and the thing that they were about to give me, like the person off screen, was something that was going to torture me. And so I'm thinking, okay, yes, I'm about to get tortured, make it a little bit more high status, and let's throw in an accent. Let's do this thing. And the readers typically keep it pretty neutral. Like the people who are acting with you off screen typically don't give you much because they don't really want to, they don't want to kind of step on your audition. This reader was so generous with their energy, but I wasn't planning on it. Like I hadn't anticipated the generosity. So they were like doing all these things that were torturous actions that I hadn't rehearsed. Like I came in knowing exactly what I would do and how to make it look torturous. And they were doing these things, and I was going, oh my gosh. And I just remember I was trying to work with what they were giving me while doing the accent, while remembering that I'm royalty. And I just left that room going, I have had better moments. And I really like wish that wasn't recorded. So that was probably, I think, probably my worst, one of my rock bottom moments. But I've been pretty lucky
I'm
otherwise.
guessing you did not get it.
I did not get that one, surprisingly. I didn't get it. I did not hear back.
All
Yeah,
right.
nothing was gained other than my pride lost.
I'm guessing it was not a Hallmark movie either when you're talking about being
Hallmark.
tortured. And it's, well,
It's not a
Hallmark
Hallmark.
Plus is getting a little bit racier, so maybe I don't know.
I think it's
All right.
spicy, yeah. But yeah, I don't know if I've got torturous, but we'll see. You
Okay.
never know.
Well, you didn't little drop a little beach volleyball in there, and you are, according to once again your IMDb, you're 5'10", so
Mhm.
you're fairly you're fairly tall there. Now, have you had any of your like had to make like special concessions for your co-stars, like whether wardrobing or filming thing? Because from a lot of the males tend to be kind of vertically challenged. So I don't
I
know. Has that
mean,
like come up
that's
as an
you're not
issue?
wrong. I mean the one I think I've been pretty lucky. I do think like casting does a great job for the most part of casting me the people who are taller than me. So I've been very lucky. But I will say I did something for Nickelodeon where I was working with I think I was like 20 or 21, and I was supposed to be 16. And this was with Jojo Siwa and this lovely gentleman, but at the time he was a child, Jake Norman, I think. And he was shorter than me for obvious reasons because he was still growing. And so I was meant to be his girlfriend. And I do remember they had to put me in things because I just didn't look like a 16-year-old. So they had to put me in very specific clothing. And I always was sitting or standing on steps looking up at him, or they would kind of, I've never had to like, they never dug a hole and we had to like, heard stories people have to like stand in holes. I've never had to do that. And I don't remember him ever having to stand on a box or anything, but they did get creative with their framing where he would be out of camera and it would just be me. But it was like, I mean, for those of you, if there are people are listening, if there's like a nice foot at least between, my face and his face. So, but I think that was the most dramatic. And then after that, I've gotten pretty lucky.
Okay. Well, once again, Paul Campbell, I think he's like 6'2" or something like
Oh
that. So
yeah,
obviously he was not an issue. But once you were in his love interest, that would have been a whole different movie
whole
um,
different movie.
there and stuff. So yeah.
You're
Okay.
right, he is. Yeah, he's 6 feet plus.
And but then I guess if you stick next to Amy Garcia, she's like what, 2 feet 11?
Oh my gosh, she's so
She's a
beautiful. What would
tiny.
she be? She would be, I think she was probably like 5'7", maybe.
So I don't know.
I don't remember when I hugged her. I
So,
think she was like,
all right.
maybe. Mm.
All right, we talked a little bit about auditioning before. So you got this. What I don't know what you get if you get a script or just like a paragraph or something about Katie and stuff like that. But what
Mm.
was it that really drew you to this Katie the True Crime podcaster?
I mean, anything Hallmark, I'm like honored to be a part of. So, like right off the bat, seeing the team working behind this, like Kim Arnaud and Kate and Mike, and I was obviously very interested. I had seen the first Cases of Mystery Lane, so I knew kind of Bertie and Alden's vibe. And I just thought, oh, yes, yes, any way I can be a part of this. I will say when I auditioned, I kind of read her as a little more, uh, what would it be? More like passionate in like in more of a like cutesy way, like uh, you know, yeah, more of like a cutesy, bubbly, like I'm just like super hyper about podcasting. And then I went to oh my goodness, the costume team on this project who've had the pleasure of working with. They're incredible. They always make me look way cooler than I am in real life. Anyway, I went to the costume
You did
fitting.
look pretty cool in this movie.
Oh, I look
You
so
look cool
cool.
now, by the way. I'm not trying to say you don't,
I
but
mean, but
you
they made
look
me look
pretty damn cool in this movie.
pretty cool. Oh my goodness. So I went to the costume fitting and they were like, oh, this is kind of what we're thinking with this character. And I thought, oh, she's a different kind of passionate. She's like a spicy, crunchy
Yeah.
type of passionate. So initially when I auditioned for it, I was kind of drawn to something about her. And then when I got to play it, I was drawn to a completely different thing. So it was a really fun journey. But I mean, honest to goodness, the people that you make these things with are what make her, I was going to say break, but I don't think anyone has ever broken it. So um, they're what make these experiences. So that was obviously my first excitement. And then I don't know, to get to play a character who is she's so passionate. Like Katie is so passionate. She tries so hard. She just is throwing her body in the arena, just, like just trying to get in there with the best of the best. So that's always really fun to play.
So if you hosted a podcast, I'm guessing I think I kind of know what it is now, but what would your niche be for the Lillian podcast?
Wait, can I ask what you would guess?
Well, I think it'd be some sort of educationally
Yeah,
type thing. So,
I think it would probably be on probably something to do with like wellness. Like I would probably be talking about, yeah, meditation, like, how, if I get anxiety, this is how I'm moving through it. Or, oh, if I'm, like what nutritional things I'm learning, or how to optimize your fitness. And if you're on long set days, how to make sure we can still show up as our best selves, even if we're not getting, a ton of sleep, like things like that to kind of help with like mental health and wellness and the sort of how we can be the best versions of ourselves. I probably have that theme.
well, it is an absolute shame that Andrea is not here right now because Andrea teaches yoga. She does coaching for her, and she's going to kill me because I never remember what it's called. It's called like Avita yoga or Via, whatever. It's just discipline within there. And it seemed like you guys probably would have had a very good conversation. So while we talked running and then talked twins, you guys could have gone off and had a whole
Oh, we
rest
would
of
have
the
really hit it
discussion
off.
on that.
But
Yeah.
maybe that's good because then we would just go running in this direction and you would go, guys, bring it back. We have things we
Exactly.
need to talk about. So maybe that worked out for the best, but we definitely probably hit it off.
Well, hey, you have a passion for it. You maybe should consider it. It's kind of a fun little gig. But you're on the set of cases. It is the second one go around, but a lot of the people were new and stuff like that. But what just tell us a little bit about just the experience of being on that set with, Amy and Paul and like I say, the directors and producers and everyone else who had been around and all of that.
I mean, coming in, I think this is the first experience I've had where I've come onto a film that was a sequel. And so it kind of felt, honestly, it kind of felt like, so as you know, my family's back in Ontario. And so it kind of felt similar to like when Thanksgiving comes around or a holiday comes around and I can't be with my family and I go to a friend's house. It kind of felt like that. Like you show up, everyone knows each other so well. There's traditions, there's like such love, there's so much warmth, there's so much fun, there's so many, oh, remember like memories, and you kind of get swept up and you just think, I'm so grateful to be here. Like just to be a part of something that feels like this little family that knows each other so well. So that was kind of my first impression. And then that just continued throughout the whole entire thing. And Paul and Amy, I mean, they're such a funny dynamic. And I mean, Joel and Margot, they're a couple goals, right? Like they're just iconic. And I mean, I don't think I've been on set with writers who are so involved in the best way. Like I mean,
I,
I hope I'm,
from my understanding, writers aren't typically
no,
there in Hallmark, right?
no, they were so generous with their time and with their energy. And I even think, if I'm remembering this correctly, I think that yes, I'm pretty the lock picking kit that Amy uses a couple times in the movies. I think that was Joel's real
Yep.
life. And so he was sitting there, we're having these conversations and he's teaching Amy how to pick a lock. Like just things like this. And I'm thinking, I'm so lucky to get to be a part of this experience because I think like it was just you could just tell it was something special. So to just be a small part of it was I was very, very grateful, and everyone was so lovely. So just start to finish, it kind of, yeah, it did kind of feel like being at a friend's Thanksgiving and getting brought into something really special and wonderful.
I will say that, yeah, you talked about Joel and Margot. It's really interesting. Like, um, John Christian Plummer gets a lot of love for his writing and everything like that. But as far as just being integrated, yeah, they're very different, it seems, in that aspect. And I've gotten to know them. I don't want to say like great, we're not going on like a European vacation together or anything like that. But like
Although I did hear you mention it in the
I talked to
podcast.
Joel all the time, and he's been super generous with his time. And when I was doing things, he would like give me some behind the scenes information of, oh, about this, that, and the other. And he's like, yeah, they're just both of them are just fantastic. So I love them.
Fantastic.
So,
It's so funny you say that because I do remember in your podcast where you interviewed them, they were talking about their vacations and you made the joke. You said, I'm going to come with you now on every
oh
European
yeah,
vacation. So I think you might be, hold it. That's funny
oh
you
yeah,
bring it up.
totally. They
Put it out there.
like we could go off and off and some of the stuff that Joel's been doing for me. He's awesome. All right.
Mhm.
So one of the other podcasters on here was Peter Benson. Not a huge role for Peter Benson being Peter Benson, but he was also your director
Peter
on
is incredible.
Professional Bridesmaid. So what was it like, once again, having him? Because when we had Paul on, he said essentially Peter was just a wrecking ball, just making everyone crack up, ruin scenes, break characters, and everything like that. So I imagine when he's a director, he's not quite like that. So when you get to see him as now an actor, what was it like, just that experience with Peter Benson?
Peter Benson's a star. I'm such a fan of Peter Benson. Because obviously he is a very talented actor. And I will agree with that. When he was on set, I mean, moment of appreciation. Matt Hammer, Paul Campbell, and Peter Benson. It's like the three of them are friends in real life, and they're on set together, just trying to get through a scene, and they're making each other laugh, and they've got these inside jokes, and they're feeding off each other's energy. It was incredible to watch, and I just thought this is the dream, right? To get to work with your friends and to make beautiful stories, and I just thought this is what I want. So yes, so him as an actor, he's obviously hilarious and brilliant. He is one of like to date, he's one of my favorite directors I've ever worked with because he's an actor. He, I mean, the notes that he gives to actors, it's very he like it's very digestible. It's very like the way he communicates with actors, it's in a way that he knows what it's like being on the other side of things. So he's a brilliant director for that reason. And I also learned so much from him. He, I think, was credit where credit is due. I think kind of got my little spark going on what it would be like to direct because he was talking about camera angles and oh, if you angle your body this way and then the camera's shooting this way, you'll help yourself out later when we do this flip take. Like he's so smart. So he's such a lovely human, brilliant director, and I think everything I've seen him in acting wise has just been pure comedy. So I imagine he does everything well, but in comedy, he's definitely oh my
Nobody
gosh,
gets
so fun to
dumped
watch.
quite like Peter Benson, you
Did you
know.
say nobody gets dumped?
Yeah, he's like in all his things. He's the boyfriend who gets dumped.
Is he
And
the boyfriend who gets dumped? That's a funny thing to have
so
as your
yeah. And
your
then,
little thing.
and be totally cool with it. So,
I
but
mean, I can imagine.
one time they're gonna have him just go ballistic when he gets dumped because that would be hilarious.
Yeah,
Just
finally let the
lose,
guy
just
have a
just lose it.
put his foot down. He earned that.
All right. Well, speaking of our fellow podcasters on here, I loved the interrogation scene when, we were talking to each one and your guys are all being, your quirky selves in the interrogation first with the detective and then with the cases and stuff. So, that was probably one of some of my the most fun of the movie. Was that like just all script for you, or did you get a chance to play with your character at all in that scene?
We did get it. I mean, Mike was so amazing. We always do kind of one. I mean, the writing is brilliant, so it's kind of done for you. Like, there's not much you want to change. So we definitely always do a few takes that honor the script because the script is good. And then Mike would always encourage us to kind of have fun with it. So we did get the best of both worlds. I think I mean, I'm remembering the scene where Katie, my character, is pretending. Oh wait, sorry. Spoilers. There's an interrogation or an
There's no
investigation.
spoiler. It already aired.
I know, but you just never know. I'm
We've
always
already
I
said,
be
we already
cognizant.
said who it is. Spoil away. Spoil away.
Okay, well, so there's a scene where the police officer Matt Hamilton and Paul Campbell and Amy are asking me, oh, to describe the killer that I'm saying I just saw. And I had the front row view, right? Amy's a professional. She's like in it to win. She's right there with me. And the two, Matt Hammer and Paul Campbell, they are just, the serious, they're trying to keep serious faces because the two of them are improvising. Oh my gosh. And of course the camera's on me, so I had to, that was so funny. And so there we had a lot of improv room. I think there was the line where, what do I say? Something about his voice. I'm like, oh, we had a low voice. And then, then Matt says something like, or no, Paul says what describe low, and Matt says also questions describe low. Like
Right.
that was improvised, but I mean they're just so brilliant. It was so fun to just kind of hop on their wave. But oh gosh, we had some fun on that set for sure. So
Yeah. I
funny.
would say, what did he look like? Oh, he was like average and average this, average that.
Yes, yes, yes.
So
So we
yeah,
had a few different versions, a
but
few different versions of that. It was quite fun. It was quite
I'll
fun.
tell you what though, you're talking about like Amy being just like that pro. I was, because it was the first time I ever talked to her was in the podcast when we talked to her and Paul together. She is just freaking brilliant. Like just the way she rattled off when I asked like these hypothetical questions and she thought for a moment and then just came up with absolutely amazing stories. And then when I talked to Paul off camera and he was just telling me about Amy and just how stinking talented she is. It's
She is so
amazing.
talented, and you kind of get the feel that she's multi-talented. Like that she has a lot of skills that she doesn't even
Like
talk
salsa
about.
dancing.
Like and singing, like just these, yeah, I think she's one of these. She works really hard, really multi-talented, very humble. But yeah, she's brilliant. I would definitely agree with that.
We're talking about you and how amazing you are. And like I said, you were absolutely fantastic. That's why I was so excited to talk to you because, if in all honesty, it's not like you were the lead in this and you had the biggest role, but you definitely owned the screen when you were there with some
Oh,
pretty
thank you.
big talent around you. So wonderful compliment there. But
Oh, thank you.
with Amy, like you just realize how talented she is because that's what I guess what I was surprised at is just how driven, how thoughtful everything is. And she just makes it look so completely effortless. And then
So
you
easy.
realize it's not the way the amount of work she puts into it.
Uh-huh.
It's just it's crazy because like I say, because I watched Lucifer with her and right, Lucifer? Yeah, it's not Luther. I always get Luther and Lucifer
Yes,
confused.
yes.
And then, just the cases and she was in this one, I think it was Netflix uh rom-com and stuff. And it's just she's so easy with it that I just kind of thought as like, oh, Amy's just being Amy. And no. So, but enough of
She
her,
works
right?
hard. And
Enough of
she
her.
also she's great about, yeah, but she's, I mean, she's so funny but doesn't break. Like it's hard to be that actor who is very comedic and then also professional and doesn't, obviously I'm sure
I
she
I
breaks too.
can't even
But
break laying dead, right? So yeah,
I
I
know
hear
I'm
you.
people too. But I try to keep it professional.
Now were you like were you there just like actually cracking up or did you do a good job?
I was both, like when I was off screen, like when I was by the monitors watching, Peter Peter and Paul trying to get through a scene, like obviously I'm cracking up because I can. But when I'm on screen, I don't want to waste anyone's time. So I do
So,
keep it, I'm
so
trying to
you can
think,
hold it together, huh? That's impressive.
like 92% of the time. Yeah, I
Okay.
think so.
Yeah, there'd be no way. I'd get fired within like a day and a half of shooting.
Now you're very lovable, so I'm sure they bring you back,
No.
but yeah, cracking, it's a real thing.
So when Hallmark calls and offers you a lead, which there's no way they're not going to, do you hope that they're calling for a rom-com or a mystery? And just because we're a mystery podcast, you don't have to be like, oh, I have to say mystery. Just what is the real answer?
I'm
Like,
a
what's your
rom-com gal. I
okay?
definitely love a good rom-com. That being said, I appreciate a good mystery, but I think rom-coms are where my. But if I got to do something like with Hunter or Rhiannon, like those types of, like that is just the dream. Like if you get to work with, if I got to work with like a friend and we were solving mysteries together, that would be incredible. But then again, going to set and falling in love every day is also
Well,
nothing to complain
the
about.
crazy thing is like they didn't know each other until that. Now they're like BFFs, from my
I
understanding.
know.
So,
I know.
no,
Some of the people you meet through film.
all right, I'm going a little off here, and I know we got to wrap up soon. But are you like? through all of this now become like friends with some of these other Hallmark actors? Because there's like the whole thing about like the big stars, how they're all buddies and they'll go drink their martinis and whatever together now. Is there like the the supporting leads are now becoming like that next level where you guys are all sort of
That's a
hanging out,
great
talking your
question.
stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm friends with a lot of the people, if not
Like
everyone
who are
I've
you
worked with.
buddies with? Name drop.
Okay, I mean, Hunter King, I mean, she doesn't live where I live, but she is an angel inside and out. Like, she is
Well, she's
just,
not a support. She's like, oh, way to score to the
I know. You're right.
top.
Okay, you're right. I know. But she's just,
Jeez.
I mean, she's so wonderful. Okay, so let me think about this. Supporting.
No, that's okay.
I don't even
So
remember who's
you're buddies with
supporting.
Hunter?
I mean, Hunter's the best. I mean,
Okay, then
she's,
you have to tell her I you have to tell her she has to come on here.
oh,
Nikki and Nora is like
yeah,
one
man.
of our
Okay,
all-time
I'm putting a word in.
favorites.
I'll say the future starring extra of
Yes.
Hallmark wants you to
It
come
is one
on.
of our absolute favorites, and we like are actively petitioning and doing everything we can to get another Nikki and Nora done. So
I know.
she owes us. All right. So now that you're going to do that for us, okay. Now who are some of
Yes,
the other ones?
I've got a
Keep
list
name
of things
drop.
I'm
You
gonna
can
do.
name drop big names. Like you can be like, oh, I'm going to get bagels with like Tyler Hines or something like that tomorrow. I don't care. That's fine.
I
Who
actually
else are you
never met
buddies with?
Tyler. I mean, I mean, like, I don't think there's anyone that I'm like one particular hanging out with on a Saturday night. I think like the first intro I had, like the Miracle season, we were like a team of volleyball girls, and we all became quite close. And I remember thinking, film, there's so much more to film than just getting the job done. You meet incredible people. So ever since that experience, like I'm still friends with those girls. Like ever since that experience, I try to stay friends with everybody. So it kind of just becomes a hodgepodge of a whole bunch of different people. I don't think there's one specific person I can name drop that I'm getting bagels with. Also because
All
I don't know
right.
the bagel shop.
All
So
right. You just drop Hunter and then
no, I know, I know. I
drop
didn't
the
know.
mic after that one. That's fine.
Everyone and all of
Go
them.
big or go home. It's good. So when we talked a little bit about setting this up, and I was like, "Hey, you have anything coming up?" You're like, "Yeah, stuff coming up," and you rattled off like 70 projects that are coming out in the next whatever
Uh,
couple weeks. But so you do have a few things coming up. Can you just share with us where we're going to see you next?
I know timing wise, everything's kind of piling up. So I've got there's a series that I shot in Mexico that's called They Came at Night, and it stars and was directed by Eugenio Derbez and a whole bunch of just superstars who are in Mexico that I didn't know about before I went there, but people were telling me they were famous. And then Jason Alexander, who was in Seinfeld, like those are the names I think that your audience would maybe recognize. So that comes out October 4th, but I believe it airs in Mexico before it airs in North America. So TBD.
So that's
But
like a theater
it's a
release.
comedy series. Pardon me?
That's a theater release.
Uh, it'll be on a network, but I know they're releasing it. So in Mexico they're releasing it on a network called VIX,
Okay,
like VIX.
gotcha.
And then when I was talking to one of the producers, he was saying TBD on what network they premiere it on here. So
Okay.
October 4th, and then I'll keep us posted for those of us in Canada and the States. November 17th, is that the right date? Yes, November 17th. We have Confessions of a Christmas Letter for all of my Christmas Hallmark fans out there. I just wrapped. If any of your listeners are Office fans, Angela Kinsey, who plays Angela in The Office, was the star of this one, and that comes out November 17th. To date, I know, sorry, I love every, but it was the most incredible experience. And actually, hilariously enough, the team that was behind the scenes of this Christmas one, Cameron O, Jesse, who was the DOP, there was a few kind of crossovers in the Cases of Mystery Lane and this Confessions of a Christmas Letter. So then when I went to work on Confessions, I kind of felt like I was going home to my family for Thanksgiving. It was a very full circle moment for me.
Nice.
So that one comes out November 17th,
Now,
11 up.
Were you an Office fan?
Huge Office fan,
Okay.
huge Office fan. And they also had, I think they have revealed it, but I won't. But they have like another cameo who's in the Office also
They did it.
appeared.
They released it. Kevin.
Yeah, Ryan Bob Carter. Oh my goodness, he plays Kevin. Um,
It's
huge
funny. They
Office.
released it like whatever Angela's in it, and I forget who the other one is, and this like cameo because usually you don't like list cameo, but
Yeah, you
yeah.
don't. I know. We kind of thought they were gonna drizzle it in, but I guess they got their strategies. But so that was exciting that they announced it. So
Now,
that
who are you in this movie? Are you like
I'm
the
the love
best friend kind of
interest. I'm the
thing?
gal. I'm the so okay. So Angela is my mom. So I'm the
Okay.
daughter, And the whole storyline is my mom, Angela, uh, she thinks her family is fantastic. And every Christmas they have a Christmas letter writing competition where she tries to do her family justice in these Christmas letters, but she always fumbles it and doesn't give them the credit that they deserve or she feels they deserve. So she hires a writer to come in and write this Christmas letter for her. And then kind of through a kismet of events, we don't want anyone in the town to know that we've hired a writer. So they say that he's my fiance, and I kind of get swept up, and he gets swept up, and it just becomes this big, you do one line, then you do a second line, then all of a sudden we're piled up in lies and trying to
So
keep it together.
so you're definitely like 1A here then, if you're like you're the love
You,
interest
I'll
here,
take a one
right?
A. Yes,
Yeah,
they
you
definitely
get, yeah,
had.
this is big time then. Okay. When I said, okay, when Kama calls for the lead, you're basically the lead. We'll give this one to
I
you.
mean, Angela's leading the team for sure, but
But
I was
she's the
in
mom,
the arena.
whatever. You're the lead. You're the lead.
I'm in the arena. Um,
Nice.
And that was a wonderful experience. And I got to work with Heather, who I worked with on #Xmas. She's another one of my favorite directors. Incredible director for actors. Like she just knows. She's just so great. So yes, so we just wrapped that.
And
I don't
that's one
even
of the
know.
ones that jumped out at me when I first was reading, and because of Angela and getting that office
Yeah,
thing. And then you said when you sent me the DM there saying what year was coming up, I'm like, no way, you're in that one. So that's awesome.
I am so excited about that one, especially because like my heart is still so full from that experience. It was such a wonderful experience. Like I know I say that a lot, but I mean I felt
If they send you a royal movie, do think twice. Okay, that's all I have to say. Royals are
oh,
not my favorite genre, so just think
okay.
twice. Make sure it's a good one.
Okay, I'll message you before I think about it. You'll
Yeah,
be
just go.
my
I'd
confidant.
love to do this one, but Eric said, he doesn't
Yeah,
like the
I'd love to wear a
Royals, so
crown, but I'm gonna check
I'm
in with
gonna
Eric
pass
real
it
quick.
up.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yes. Thank you for that. Thank you for that intel. I'll send you a message and maybe I'll get your permission. I'll say the script is really great. I'll do it justice, and I'll do it. And
Well, the
you'll go.
Royal Nanny last year totally blew me away, and that turned out to be fantastic. Or I think that was 2 years ago. Turned out to be fantastic. So
Yeah,
you can
there you
do
go.
it. You can
We
do
can do
it.
it.
So okay. All right.
Um,
Then you
where
have
were
another
we?
one, right?
Oh yes, and then a series called Alert Missing Person Unit. It's for Fox TV, and that is a Vancouver kind of classic. Like it's one to be on, and the people on that I knew a few of them going in, and they just from acting class and things, and it was a great experience. But definitely the opposite of Hallmark, like as you can tell from the title,
Right.
a little more crunchy, a little more spicy, but that comes out in December. So I've got a nice little. My parents are stoked. They've got their TV watching
Right.
all
You got
lined up.
your so you got an October, November, and a December. Perfect.
Yeah, all lined up.
Now, are you
Yeah,
doing any top secret filming that you can't tell us about, or are you kind of getting to chill for sort of the fall and holidays?
a little bit of both. I've actually got a Zoom callback in an hour, so we'll
Ooh.
see. We'll see if I'll let you know if I book. So
Okay. If
TBC.
if you need me to read off screen for you,
You'll
and
do that.
I will
You're
really
gonna
get
try to.
into, I'll be like the torturer one who I will deliver the lines with such passion for you.
But then they'll probably cast you. They'll go, I don't know about this girl, but the reader sounds amazing, and they'll give you a
Yeah.
call.
Yeah,
So
you're right. Because
I'm gonna be a
I
mediocre
purposely
reader.
stay away from these auditions because I know that they would just cast me and everything and it'd make my life complicated and I just don't want to do that. So,
My dad, the Confessions of a Christmas Letter, I was back home visiting my Nana and doing family reunions and things. My dad was my reader for when I booked that. And he is exactly what you're talking about. Like he cares so much. Like he just is, he's in it. He'll put on an accent. He'll go British if I need him to. Like
all
he's
right,
in it to win
wait.
it.
Going back to is one of your parents actually British, like you since you were born in
No, but
London?
he'll just be very supportive and he'll put on an
Okay.
accent if I need it. He's just neither of them are British. But so my mom was studying at Cambridge, England. Shout out to my mom. She is the smartest person I've ever met, but
Okay.
equally as cool. She was studying at Cambridge, England on full
Gotcha.
scholarship. And my dad was studying out there as well to be an acupuncturist. So they kind of that's why I was born there. But neither of them are British.
Okay. You should kind of hold it against him a little bit for not keeping you around there a little longer to get the accent.
No, had my wits about me at the age of 3, I maybe would have just put on the accent for the sake of it. But obviously, I was
Yeah.
too young to know.
Well, Lillian, this was an absolute blast.
This was such a
Um,
pleasure. Thank you
th
so much for having
Thank you
me.
for going through all the randomness with me. It definitely is one of the, uh, I don't want to say oddest, but we definitely went on many a
Bunch of
tangent. So
tangents. Sorry about
I
that.
appreciate
Yeah.
you humoring me on this,
No,
but I
that
think
was
it
so
was a
much
blast.
fun. You're a great host. Thank you for having me. I
So,
really appreciate it. It was so fun.
okay. Well, have a wonderful day. Look forward to all these new ones coming out. And for us, we're going to be doing a little recap of the Hallmark movies for the holidays, even though we do the mysteries. So I will make sure to give yours a little extra special attention. So,
Oh, thanks, Eric.
uh,
Okay, appreciate it. And hi to Andrea for future times. I hope to chat with you guys again.
thanks.
Okay, bye.